This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is a show for the week of April 29th, 2024. And this is what's going on in our Disney World. We got some rumors. We got some, trip planning for non-festivals. I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to talk about. I don't know how to do that. And then there's a bounce back offer for 2025. So that leads me to believe that there's some extra things coming out. I forgot I had something to the show notes here about a future trip potentially. So we're going to talk about that later. Yes. If you're not watching, Phil's shirt game continues to be strong with his light blue and Mickey shirt. I am describing it for you this week, so maybe that entices you to watch it on YouTube. I don't know. Handsome as always. Reminder of our social media before we get started: Twitter, Insta, Facebook, YouTube channel, all at the DBC Pod, and of course our Discord channel, which we got a new member in last week. Thanks for joining. That is Amy11401. I don't like saying the numbers. Like, welcome, Amy. Thanks for joining the community. Make sure you chime in and join the conversation whenever you can go. All right, Phil. We're going to just jump into it. No niceties as we usually do. No. How you doing this week, Phil? No one really cares how we're doing.
Nobody cares how I'm doing. They just want to
no
hear.
One cares.
They want the content.
That's it. They want the content. Straight to the content. Here we go. No preamble. You had some quick rumor updates because apparently we're just going to talk about rumors every single week, which I love.
Yeah, which it made me think of like kind of what you were talking about last time as we're heading into D23 season. It seems like it's going to be more and more rumors and more things happening and people speculating about what's going to get announced and what's not. I just thought I would mention that DSNY, and we'll talk more about other kind of podcasts and shows and stuff like that, so we'll hear about them more later. But Jack put together, I thought, a nice video summarizing a number of the rumors that were coming out. Now, a lot of them we'd covered last week, especially the Animal Kingdom ones, but I thought I would mention two more. One that I hadn't heard elsewhere, but I was intrigued by. One is that obviously they've talked about the rumor of Villains Land coming as part of the Beyond Big Thunder project, but apparently there's a rumor now that instead of happening at Magic Kingdom, a Villains Land is what would be the IP or portal or whatever you want to talk about it that would go into Disney's Hollywood Studios. Kind of where the whole animation courtyard area is and stuff like that. And one of the rumors is that the whole area would be enclosed. So sort of like how the Mexico Pavilion is, but on a grander scale. So it would be like nighttime and eerie and kind of villainy all at once.
So let me comment on this, right? So I've heard this rumor also. And what's going to be interesting until we get like locked in on this is what we're doing. We talked about this a little last week. There's people that are writing, making artwork for it. There's people that are on the marketing team. There's people that are in WDI. There's bus drivers, janitors, all have like their takes, and they've seen or heard pieces of it. And I guarantee you, Villains Land has been tossed around for Magic Kingdom because we got the blue sky of it, right? But it's probably also been talked about, like, what if we put it in Hollywood Studios? If you listen to Jim Hill and Len Testa last week on the Disney Dish, they were heavily hinting that there's a Frozen. Why is there not a Frozen Land in North America? And I think they were saying that potentially one's going into Hollywood Studios in that area. That was my interpretation. They did not say anything like that. They just kind of left, that's curious why there isn't one in North America. And they left it at that, as they usually do. So what I think Jack might be getting here is he might have a rumor from somebody like, the idea's been tossed around. I don't think they know exactly.
Oh no,
yet,
for sure. No,
right?
Definitely not.
But I don't think you should take this rumor as Hollywood Villains Land is not going to Magic Kingdom anymore. It's definitely in Hollywood Studios. No, I think everything is fluid at this point. A lot of things can change.
Oh, for sure. And I think this one just jumped out at me because I actually really like the idea. I think it would be interesting because people are kind of like, it'd be weird to have a Villains Land when you already have some of the villains appearing in the attractions in Fantasyland and stuff like that. And I don't know, having it more, I don't know. I think it could fit in Hollywood Studios really well. And then if they wanted to do like a more adult Halloween party, that could kind of fit in there, like a Halloween version of Jollywood Nights. I don't know. I just hadn't personally heard of this one, and it kind of jumped out at me. It's like, oh, that would be kind of cool and kind of makes sense versus kind of forcing it into the Beyond Big Thunder area.
I don't think you're forcing it in the Beyond Big Thunder, because I think there's going to be two lands. There's going to be like the transition into the desert type of stuff into like Villains Land, which is going to be behind Haunted Mansion. That's their phase 2, I think. I think the one thing that's interesting about this rumor was I haven't heard would be it was fully enclosed.
Yeah.
So what is that? Is that like just like they're building a dome around everything, or a big giant building?
So there'd basically be a big show building that would cover up the majority of the land. So the comparison they gave was to how the Mexico Pavilion is, how you go into the pavilion and you kind of have that outside area and then the rides in the back part of it and stuff like that, just on a grander scale.
I mean, that is a massive building if that's what they're going to do. I mean, that's really cool. I love the idea of that. And I don't think they could do that beyond Big Thunder for like massive show buildings like that, like fully enclosed. So I like that. The only thing I don't like for that is because I was hoping that they could have a Villains Land weenie in Magic Kingdom that could have a nighttime show that would also pull people away from the hub. So that's it doesn't have to be Villains Land to do that, but I'm hoping to do that. There's more stuff that go.
Yeah, and then the other one that work permit was filed for the Imagination Pavilion. One reason people are interested in this one is normally work permit is either short duration or they don't have an end date, and that means it's good for a year. But they actually bothered to put an end date in here, and it's actually not until November of 2025. So it's like 18, 19 months. So that's a good amount of time to do some work. Now, is that enough time to redo the whole pavilion and the Journey into Imagination ride and stuff like that? But maybe it's redoing other areas of it, redoing the Magic Eye Theater and stuff like that. So this came up even before, even last time, I think at D23, there were rumors they were going to announce a redo of Figment and stuff like that. And there's more talk about it involving Inside Out and stuff like that. I don't know. It just seems there's more and more kind of percolating around updates happening to the Imagination Pavilion.
I mean, I love how we're getting, again, this is going to make the show more interesting on a weekly basis, like finding these permits and then speculating on what they are. For this permit, I don't think you can say, yes, this is a redo of an attraction or something, because it's definitely not. It could be as innocuous as just like changing some signs around and fixing the plumbing somewhere type of thing, like the electrical. Or it could be, but the next level would be they're switching out some show elements outside of the ride where Inside Out you was, and then maybe they're taking down like we can Photoshop you in a poster area type of thing, right? So that whole building is extremely dated. So maybe they're going to renovate it a little bit, and it's just making it cleaner and updating, and it's just like, oh, look, this is nice. The 5 people that actually go through that attraction in a day. So that would be the next level of like, that's kind of cool, and it's very forgettable after that. But I think the next level might be, they are prepping the building for another major overhaul. So they have to get some maybe infrastructure work done. So maybe changing electrical around, knocking down a couple walls, maybe adding some additional infrastructure until they're ready to kind of do whatever Figment V3 is going to be or something else like that.
Yeah,
and I don't think
technically Figment 4, but
yes. But no, I think we'll find out more about Figment as we find out, like there's like a movie or a show on D+ or something. And I think they're waiting for that to like hit it out of the park or get some kind of, feedback for it before they start thinking about what goes on. Because I don't think they know what's going in there yet. I think there's probably some Imagineering blue sky type stuff, like the blue sky, whatever that doesn't stuff coming for that area. But like I think it's more on the lower end scale, like painting some walls and switching.
It would be interesting though, even if they don't touch the main ride, but if they put something else there that makes it a bit of a destination, because it's almost like, a bit of a dead end to get over. I don't know, like.
Oh, you mean in the building, like not in the ride, but like somewhere? Yeah,
like where the Magic Eye Theater is, or where the ImageWorks area stuff is, or something like that, or I don't know. It's kind of like a dead end area, like to walk all the way to it. So there's not a lot of foot traffic gets over to that area. So if there was something else to kind of draw people in, I don't know what it would be.
I don't either,
but it'd be interesting. But I don't know. It's more than just like a coat of paint to take 18 months, hopefully. But I guess, like you said, it could just, for all we know, it's just like maintenance that needed to be done to keep the building standing and stuff like that. And it's not
granted,
really
you
gonna
can
change
request
anything.
you can request a permit to last a year because you might eventually get to it, but you don't have a timetable for it.
That's
yet.
true,
Like
too.
a permit can be open for 8 months without doing anything, and you just have like 1 month worth of work at like month 12 or whatever it is, type of thing. So
Right.
it could be that as well.
So we'll see. But thought those are a couple interesting rumors. Last thing, it's not a rumor, but I thought I would mention it quick, was just because I think it's nice to see they updated the lighting package to the rainforest scene on Living with the Land. Partly mentioning it because obviously we love Living with the Land, but I just love that they're kind of putting effort into some of these existing rides and just kind of plussing them a little bit. We're seeing a little bit more of that going on. So I thought I'd mention that. It doesn't always have to be just a brand new ride. It's just nice to see something new to see and something to appreciate, and that they're putting in some work upgrading various things.
There's a I don't think it was Parkology, but there was another Twitter thread that I was following that showed a video from like late 80s, I want to say, of Living with the Land. It was just kind of like a camcorder version of it or whatever it was. And a lot of it is like drastically the same. Like nothing is like changed at all. And, when I go through there, it doesn't feel like it's a 30-year-old show because people are obviously maintaining it and growing things in there. But like you mentioning that, like, I love the idea of them. I wouldn't even consider plussing it up, but just adding to it. Which, like, I think they should be continuously doing this. So every time you go back to the parks, you notice, like, oh, they added something here or something there. Like, there's something that's definitely, kind of changing. That type of thing. So I like that.
Nice.
All right, so another video that was going around. So if you remember, I don't know, it was like a month ago. Disney released a little video honoring, goodness, I can't remember the gentleman's name, the Imagineer that invented a whole bunch of different things. He has a million different patents. And he had this hollow tile, and Phil's Googling the gentleman's name. Can you get it for me, please?
Lanny Smoot.
Yes. So thank you. So Lanny invented this floor. I hopefully everybody's seen it. It's been posted all over social media and in our Discord and stuff like that. And it's basically the ability to walk in place on a flat surface. And Disney put out a video. It was very cool. And they invited some other media people, and they kind of said, "Oh, this is awesome." But there was a tech YouTuber that went out, and this gentleman's famous for reviewing a lot of. I enjoy his channel because I watch him outside of Disney, and we'll have a link in the show notes somewhere if you guys want to check it out. But it's posted everywhere, so if you follow the same people that we follow, you've seen it already. And he got a chance to like hop on and try it out, and he had some really really cool things. So Phil, I hope everybody knows what I'm talking about, because we're going to get into the conversation is, it was cool. It was really awesome. You get to control things on it. It's controllable. Like one of the things like that you could do is you could take a joystick and there's an object on this tile. And the tile's maybe like the area's not a perfect shape, but it's like almost like a 6 foot by 6 foot kind of area type of thing. And you could put an object on there, and I think you put a big box on it. And with a controller, you could move it around, right? Well, that was really cool. And then they had some sensors around the perimeter where you could just wave your hands up and down, left and right, and you're using the force to move it around. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
And then you could sit on a chair on it and move yourself around. And then you could walk on it. It always kind of promotes you to the middle. So, some people were wearing the new Apple, what do they call them? The things that
It's the Oculus or whatever.
Yeah, so the VR Apple, the Apple VR goggles, and he was like walking around Disneyland with it and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. So, without going into any more detail about the video and stuff like that, my question to you, Phil, is how would you use this in an attraction or experience practically in a park?
Yeah, it's interesting because it did feel like a very kind of personal experience. It almost seemed like something you'd have in like. Remember they had that like VR or thing in Disney Springs that was like Star Wars related, and you wear goggles. It was almost like a setup for something like that. I did think the one where you were kind of using the Force looked really cool. Like I didn't know if they could set this up somewhere in Galaxy's Edge and kind of let people use the Force to move things around. I think would be pretty cool. I'm struggling to picture it. I'm almost picturing it more for like shows or effects and stuff like that versus like a ride. Kind of, like almost like a special effects show or seeing people move it like that way.
Well, let's pause on that feature first. Because Because I can think of a couple different ways. So like a lot of the times, if you're creating a new, let's stick with the Star Wars theme, Rise of the Resistance type of thing, and your vehicle is maybe a little bit more intimate, where there isn't. What does a Rise vehicle hold? That was that
eight people. Yeah.
So instead of 8, maybe there's 3, or maybe there's 4, or whatever it might be. And you kind of, imagine it like you pull up to a scene and you turn into something, and the person in the front needs to move something back, and the people on the left and right need to do something, like you're holding back, I don't know, stormtroopers advancing on you, or you're filling a hole, or I don't know, whatever you can imagine moving an object does a thing. And that basically either affects or allows you to continue on the ride. But you get that, like, I'm thinking of like a super less intense, like web slinger type of attraction type of thing. I think you can use it something like that. And I also think like you could also do, I'm trying to think of a way you could do something on an attraction where it's not like the Millennium Falcon, where one person gets the up and down, one person gets the left and right, and everybody else gets to just press buttons when they light up on the sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there could be some interactive elements in a dark ride that allows people to do it. You can't do it and stop and just wait until you can kind of do it. So it has to be kind of like a little fun little bonus thing as you're doing it. Or it could be a fun little thing that's like in a queue somewhere where, like, think about like in Peter Pan where you get the butterfly shadows to land on your finger, or you can play the bells, that type of thing. So if you're a part of a queue and there's just sitting on the floor with some sensors, it's kind of like how Journey of Water is, right? Where you can kind of make the waves jump up or high five you and stuff like that. It could be a really cool queue element to it.
Yeah.
So I guess the next feature then, Phil, would be the ability to, because I don't think they're ever going to have anything to control on it, right? So maybe you can do something where you electronically control it and it looks like, a ghost moving something or something else like, so that's like a practical effect almost.
Yeah.
But what about like the floor element, right? Because you brought up the VR experience in Disney Springs, and the way they were able to do that was the VR experience was mapped to a set of walls inside as you walk through. So the walls matched the VR experience. So you knew the wall was there, right? What allowing you to walk in place allows them to do whatever they want.
No, what I meant for like this Disney, just that it wouldn't be like a large scale attraction.
Yeah.
It would be something more smaller where you and your friends or whatever get to go into a room that has this set up on the floor, or you're in your individual like pod, for lack of a better word, and you're getting to like walk in place and move around and experience things like that. And you could almost, I know we've talked about all these in the past, but bringing Disney like local, where like at your mall or something like that, they could have these experiences where you could walk around Disney attractions and Disney World and stuff like that. I don't know, it feels like I keep going back to like more intimate things, but maybe that's only because what we've seen so far is on a relatively small scale.
Yep. Yeah. Now I'm trying to think, can you think of an application where you have people moving through an attraction that you would want them, because like I understand like the VR experience, but it's still something you probably have to pay for. B, you have to put goggles on, you have to gear up. There's a time for that, and it probably can't last long because there's 100 people waiting behind you, that type of thing. So could you use it? Yes. Would that be an efficient usage of it? I think it's more gimmicky than anything else.
Yeah.
But I think if this was cheap enough to make, because it didn't seem like it was incredibly expensive. I mean, but then again, there's maybe hundreds of tiny little gearboxes in all.
Yeah, but like things. I guess once you start mass producing them, how much is it?
But could you create a pad for your basement or dining room where you could walk on, and then you can actually buy goggles at home?
Yeah,
and you can play a million video games with it. But like, I could totally picture buying like 5 of these for my whole family, all putting us on goggles. Of course, now I've spent $20,000 on stupid equipment at home, but hopefully it's cheaper in the future, right? But you all take like a fun virtual Disney World, because I guarantee you, Disney is itching to somehow get into the AR VR space at home.
Oh yeah,
they've only been talking about it for 5 years, but the tech's not there yet, and
yeah, I mean, it definitely reminded me a little bit of like what they used in Ready Player One, where you would kind of go into a little thing that let you walk around in space and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, for home applications for sure, you could have something like this. The only other thought I had was on a large scale is, could they do and basically put those in an entire attraction, and that's the new way they control trackless ride vehicles? So this way you don't see like the wheel marks on the floor and stuff like that. And this is how they move around the ride vehicles.
Maybe. I just don't know how durable they are with
Yeah.
like an 8-person ride vehicle. Or maybe just get your own individual chair and it gets whipped around. I don't know how safe that is though, but that would be kind of fun. All right, enough about a movable floor. The next thing, like there's a lot of little things here we're going to talk about. So do we care about the Hollywood Studios 35th anniversary? Do we care about that? I'm kind of done with anniversaries, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought of was like some of the merch look kind of cool. So if I'm down, like when I'm down there, if it still has some of the merch or special food, cool. But other than that, I don't really care.
No. I don't care about Hollywood Studios being 35 years old. Just makes me feel old. The next is actually kind of like a semi-big topic. Festival-free summers. I know we kind of talked about this in the past where we're kind of guessing that, one festival stopped, whatever. But this summer, there's not going to be a festival. There's the pushed back the start date of Food and Wine.
Yep.
And so my question to you, Phil, is, you're planning your summer vacation to Disney World. I mean, you have already, but you've kind of done it regardless because you only have a specific time you're going to go anyway. But would there not being a festival change your mind whether or not you're going, or are you still going?
So it wouldn't change my mind to go or not. We're definitely still going. We're not going for the festival. I know in the past, like before we had kids and stuff like that, a lot of times we did target to go down during Food and Wine Festival, but this isn't for that. It does
let me ask you another question, because this is going back again about how much the festivals are kind of blended together. Would you plan another vacation for Food and Wine at this point?
No.
Okay, well, there you go. I just want to know what your mindset is for like planning festival stuff. That type
I mean, I think the festivals have started to run together, especially Food and Wine. It's kind of just the food booths or whatever. It's
a food truck kind of like experience at this point.
Yeah. It's not like what it was 10, 15 years ago when they had all like, the food demonstrations and authors and stuff like that. It's just really the booths at this point. So no, it made me, the only impact it really had was, it was kind of surprised me. Eating at the food booths is almost what we do for one meal during our EPCOT day or days. And so we won't have that. So it just made me think about kind of dining and stuff like that for that. And just, I don't know. In some ways, I'm almost more excited to experience Diet EPCOT. It's been so long since we've been there when there wasn't a festival going on. So in some ways, it's kind of a unique experience that I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Well, you're gonna see a lot of Communicore stuff. So there's gonna be I don't know if it's gonna be Diet EPCOT. I think it's just gonna be different.
Well,
EPCOT,
I was kind of wondering about that. Like, would they do
Zero?
anything? And it kind of made me think about, over at California Adventure, they're doing like this Pixar Summer Festival and stuff like that. And not saying they would do anything that big, but are they going to do any other special elements for the summer instead of a festival? Now we do know like you said, Communicore is opening. They're going to have the Encanto stage show going. So do they expand that a little bit? And there's almost like an Encanto summer fun type thing where there's special things going on around that. I don't know. That was kind of one thing I was wondering about.
Yeah. So when you talk about the food booths, so my wife and my mother and I were sitting around the table where the kids were watching TV in the other room. So we were talking about, the next vacation, things we like about, it was just general Disney vacation talk. And I was saying like, I love EPCOT. And my wife's like, I could, EPCOT's coming like almost like Hollywood Studios. I could take it or leave it at this point. I'm like, why? It's like, you got to try all the foods. She's like, well, I don't like a lot of the foods that are there. It's just like, she likes having one big meal. She hates like eating a little bit here, eating a little there, waiting in all the lines for it. And I'm like, huh, really? You never said that before. So I'm thinking like, does not even having a food festival for my wife, would that make her more likely to go? So that Diet EPCOT, I like how you put that, would do that. So if you were, is the way you're touring EPCOT changing at all because there's no festival?
One element that it's definitely impacting, and
other than I have now need an ADR for something.
Well, that's kind of the big thing is that so my wife and daughter have their trip coming up. They actually just did their dining booking yesterday. To show how much more relaxed we've gotten planning. I asked her today, yes, I was like, when's your 60 days? Isn't that coming up? And she's like, oh, shoot, that was 2 days ago. So, in the past we were always like all ready to go. But I mean,
this is what happens when Phil is not going on.
I know, well,
vacation,
that too.
right?
Yeah, I would have had a countdown anyway. But it kind of also shows like they're not trying to get into a million hard to get things.
Yeah.
But they are going to book an ADR for EPCOT. They booked one for Shikasai, the new Japanese restaurant.
Oh, very cool.
So they booked that for I think like a 4 p.m. one to kind of have like a late lunch, early dinner there. And that's kind of what we're thinking of doing when we go down in August too, is booking that late lunch, get out of the heat, get into the AC type thing. So I was almost wondering, and we were speculating a little bit, going back and forth on Discord about like why they wouldn't have something for the summer. And we're wondering if maybe just the festivals during the summer didn't do as well because during those summer months, because it's so hot out. And like, do people really want to stand in lines, get sunburned just to have all these foods? It's not like they're all ice cream and stuff like that. It's like hot soup
they're
and stuff
hot
like
foods, and there's nowhere to sit or stand.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
It's
Epcot needs more places to sit and stand. They need to put more high tops around everywhere.
And so, is this just kind of like, let's focus more on like concentrated time, associate each festival more with a specific kind of season, time of year. And for the summer, let people get into the AC for lunch and stuff like that and not have to be in line for that. So
I'm pretty sure all the restaurants are loving this, right?
So definitely getting some ADRs from us out of it. So
yeah. So speaking of all this other, so there's one of the things that kind of started this conversation with my wife and my mother is my mother's coming with us to the next Disney trip, which is next May, so a year from now, and we were all kind of chuckling, like, well, I'm not used to now going to not going to Disney in a year where we started off every other year. Yeah. We did like 2021, 2022, 2023. And I'm like, we're not going in 2024. And we were kind of thinking about how that works and everything else like that, but we're still going in May. And then I was talking about there's a bounce back offer for 2025. And typically bounce back offers are not like a year away. It's usually within the next 8 to 10 months ish or whatever. But it surprised me in 2025. And my mother asked me like, what is a bounce back offer? I was like, well, you gotta book it while you're on property for it to count, right? Like you're booking it while you're on the same vacation. And like, I'm not even worried about our trip because there's going to be massive deals going into next year because Disney has nothing to attract people. Yeah, they have more entertainment, but they got to try to get some more people to stay on site and not go to Epic Universe, right? So you got all that going on. So we're all kind of talking about a May trip. What do we do? Where do we get 2 rooms? Because we're going to be 6 people at this point. We really don't want to stay at Art of Animation. We want to stay at a more of like smaller, moderate resort rather than the high-rise value resorts, that type of thing. But I was like, you know what? I looked at my wife. Like, why don't we plan a trip for October? It's just you and me, like we did 2 years ago. And she immediately didn't say no, which I think is like absolutely amazing. So now I'm thinking about, okay, we're going to go down there. And she asked, like, what is, I asked her, like, how would you plan a 5-day trip or 4-night, 5-day, 3-night, 4-day type of trip? She definitely want to stay at a deluxe resort, mostly like a Grand Floridian or something else like that. I'm like, okay, that's doable with 2 people and renting DVC points, that type of thing. So we can do something like that and kind of splurge. And then I'm like, well, V&A's Victoria and Albert's just got their Michelin star. I don't know if we can book. Well, we can't book for October because that's kind of where we would go because it's not 60 days, but that's something we can do because we've done dinners like that are like, chef table type dinners when it's, anniversary type of stuff. Sure. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know where the story is going. So like, what would you do for like we're there for 2, maybe 3 days, not counting travel days. And she's like, okay, well, we wake up, we laze around, we go to the pool, we get like couples massage, go to the spa, and then maybe go to Magic Kingdom at night and just kind of go on some rides and kind of hang out there. And then on our second day, maybe we go back to the Magic Kingdom, we do something similar in the morning or whatever. And I'm like, so like back-to-back Magic Kingdom days, no other parks. She's like, yeah, something simple like that. So I'm thinking about it. And if we're just doing like an adult-only trip, and it's not going to be we're going to see how many rides we can do. Right. My wife certainly doesn't want to do 4 parks in one day, just running all over the place like I would want to do. My question to you, Phil, is if you're going down for a almost romantic kind of trip with your wife. Again, it's not like it's not Valentine's Day. It's not a birthday. It's not a major anniversary milestone type of thing. My wife and I just celebrated our 13th. So it's not like it's this 20th or 50th.
Oh, well, the traditional 13th anniversary gift is a trip to Walt Disney World. So.
Yes, of course. And the 14th and the 15th and the 16th. Yes. How would you do like, let's call it like a 4-night, 3-day where you have 2 full days on property. And like, I was reminded actually of when you were posting pictures when you were down there for business. You didn't go to any parks, but you went with, who'd you go with?
Recently we went with Zach in the evening.
Yeah, Zach. Like you went in EPCOT and hung out, but you were down there and you were just hanging out at a bar, just like overlooking whatever. And you're like, I just love being here.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's definitely what we would do is a lot of that. I would look into, is there an after hours event or something like that we could pay to do that instead of a regular ticket, take advantage of being out late, sleeping in, pool time, lots of dining and
well, let's forget about like extra evening hour type stuff, right? I mean, or parties, I should say, or extra ticket event.
Yeah.
Would you do parks in those 2 days there, or would you literally just resort it up?
I could do it either way. If it's just me and my wife, we could probably resort it up. I still feel like I'd probably want some park time. So yeah, I'd probably, whether it was just a 1 or 2 day ticket or we'd do a party or something like that, we'd probably want to get some park time in. But it would be light on the parks.
I'm just thinking like how different I'm like, I might be able to do a resort only stay one down there, but like, I kind of need to go into a park at least one day and like whatever. We would definitely go like, all right, we're doing a resort only. We're going to Grand Flirty and it's our first time there, staying there. We get in there and I'm just going to be looking outside, looking at the monorail. And I'm going to be the guy that's just, all right, honey, you go to sleep. I'm going to go to Magic Kingdom at like 6:00 and buy like a window ticket just to
for
go in for a couple hours.
$150.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll be $150 regardless if we only go for 2 days. But okay, yeah. So that's something that we're thinking about. And I don't know how real those plans are because our lives are absolutely bonkers crazy with 3 kids in sports. In the middle of October, it would be like mid-football season, and we'd have to go like during the week and not over the week. It's just a giant disaster. So anyway, just funny how like when you don't have a Disney trip this year and all of a sudden one gets planned somehow, it always comes around. Just like our trip in last year. We weren't going to go in 2024, but we spent a lot of money going Christmas parties and everything else like that. That came around in the summer. So, all right. So that's our laundry list of things. Again, more trip planning for me. You're getting ready. We need to do, I think, Phil, and maybe a couple of weeks from now, a month from now, some dual trip planning between you and your wife about something. I think we have to go through an update of what you guys are doing for your trips. But I think that's it. So we're going to play a game, right? We're at the 32-minute mark. We might actually finish the show earlier than usual. You have a mystery game for me. You want to surprise me. So what's going on?
So my game is similar to kind of last week where you gave me things and you had to list it out. This is another list game, but it's based on a third party's rankings. It's from Touring Plans. It's all their user rankings of all the attractions at Walt Disney World.
All attractions.
So I went through all the different parks, took out all the top rides and put them all in one big list and sorted them and stuff like that. So actually have the top 48. But I'm not going to make you guess 48. The one thing I will say
I said we're going to end early.
Yeah.
Top 48. Okay.
Top 48.
Here for the next hour.
And some of them get bundled together because they only go out to 1 decimal point when they rank them, 4.4 out of 5 or whatever like that.
What is the ranking? Is it like out of 5 stars like they typically do?
Yeah. So it's out of 5 stars and it goes out to 1 decimal point. So I have them organized like this. We could do a break off at top 10 or we could do the top 15 or we could just see how he goes. But I thought it'd be interesting to see if you could guess what the average guess, because this is based on all their users. It's not their rankings of where things stand.
And this is the whole, any of the water parks?
No, just the 4 theme parks.
4 theme parks. And this is ranked out of their users. I ranked this out of how many stars and it's all averaged together.
Yeah. So you just tell me like, what do you?
How do you want me to do this? You want me to go from try to get from 1 down to 10?
Yeah, I mean,
go that direction?
Rank the top 10. Give me the top 10 and do them in order if you can. And when you give me a name, I'll tell you where that ranked.
Okay,
if it's in the top 10 or not.
Let me open up a notepad here. It's on a different screen. That's wonderful. Maybe I can do it here. There we go. I got my notepad open. All right. So if I guess something, are you going to say no, or are you going to tell me where it ranks?
Yeah, if you guess something, I'll tell you where it ranks. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the ride that gets the highest score, and if this is across all age groups, it probably can't be like mostly roller coasters. So I think the first one I have to go with is Rise of the Resistance at number 1.
That is actually ranked tied for second. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 that are tied with the same score.
Okay, so
there's one ride that's number 1 that's a part that has the highest score, and then there's the next 4 are tied.
Oh man, now this is tough. Okay, so if I'm going to go with what's equal to Rise, I guess 2B. I don't know if I don't think this would be number 1. I would say tied with 2 would be Guardians of the Galaxy.
That is also tied for second.
Okay, so I'm putting that down as 3 on my list. All right, so that's tied. I would have to say then. Goodness, this is going to be tough. I think number 4 or 5 would have to be. Let me say 5 would be Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is not in the top 10.
Wow, that is absolutely bonkers.
I will say it's just out. It's tied for the 11th spot, so it's just outside the top 10.
Okay, then also tied in the. How many did you say were tied in the second place?
4, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 5 in the next spot.
Okay, so then how about we go with in the tied in the 2 hole is Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror it is tied for 6th spot, so it's in the next grouping.
Oh man, okay, I'm terrible at this.
No, you didn't find it. There's most of these are still in the top.
I mean, yeah, sure. Okay, so would number 1 still be Flight of Passage then?
That is number 1. That is the only one that is 4.8 out of 5.
Very interesting. Okay, so we got Rise. We've got Guardians. We need to find the other 2 that are on par with those.
Yep.
I have to say then it's probably would Tron be in there in that second bracket?
No.
Second tier?
Tron is actually also in 11th spot, tied with Mickey and Minnie's.
Okay, maybe it hasn't been out enough, or people are stuck in that 45-minute to an hour virtual.
Yeah, and also I think it's one ride where not everybody's willing to do it with the seat configuration and stuff like that.
Fair enough. Okay, so I'm just going to go now based off of Genie Plus availability with a lot of this stuff. So number 4, I'm going to go with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Where is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train? Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is actually tied for 16th.
16th? I am terrible at this game. All right, second tier, Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise, where's Jungle?
I'm not even in the top 10, am I? If you have to actually search the list,
it's not even in the. It's
wow
in the 30s.
That and the lightning lane is almost always gone for that in the first thing in the morning. I am. All right, so let's just go with more thrilling rides. Expedition Everest.
That is tied for second. That is in that second group as well. So just Avatar Flight of Passage was 4.8, and then there's the next 4 had 4.7.
So I still need one more in that slot, and I guess it has to be Slinky Dog Dash then in there.
Nope, Slinky Dog Dash is also for 11th.
That is nuts. Like none of this makes sense based off of.
I will give you a hint. The last one for the in the grouping of 4, it's not a thrill ride.
It's not a thrill ride.
It's more. It's like an everybody ride.
Then it has to be Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nope. Pirates is tied for 16th.
This list is terrible. Just throw it out the door.
Just tells you what the average person thinks of these.
Haunted Mansion.
No, that is also lower.
Okay, well this is messed up. What is Len doing with all his data? He is influencing this poll taking.
Yeah, Haunted Mansion is also tied for 16. Both that and Pirates are 4.4 out of 5.
I mean, that's pretty good, but still, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, I did the top 48. These all have 4.0 or higher. Is the top
right?
48.
Obviously, yeah.
And one thing, just to make sure you're aware, it's all attractions but I excluded parades, nighttime shows, and character meet and greets. Because actually, I think the highest rated thing at Magic Kingdom was actually Happily Ever After, but I didn't include that.
Yeah. No, I wasn't thinking that anyway. I just don't want to go and start listing off attractions because that would be cheating. Okay, so I still need that, like the second tier level. I need one more. I got Rise, Guardians, Expedition, Everest, Frozen Ever After.
No, where's Frozen? Frozen's lower. Frozen's at 4.1 out of 5. It's down in the 30s.
Remy's
was a little higher, but it's not in that first group. Where's Remy? Remy is tied for 16th with Pirates and stuff.
Okay, I'm not even getting top 10 rides here. I'm like Millennium's Falcon Smuggler's Run.
No. Where is that? That is tied for 25th. At 4.3.
Wow. I'm just like rattling off things now. I mean, Navi River Journey can't be on here.
No.
I didn't think so. I don't care then. Don't even look it up. I'm just like, if that was on there, I would be like,
it's in last place. It's at 4.0. So it's at the very end of this.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to, I'm running out of attractions here, but like, I don't want to
think of something that is like a must do for everybody. If they go to all the 4 parks, like think of like, what are the kind of like, this is what parks are known for. A given park is known for. Or,
Peter Pan.
No.
I mean, that is a rope drop target.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see, like when you mentioned about Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan, like people who are doing these, they're not necessarily like the highest rate. Like Peter Pan's not even on the list, but it's just because
of how long. It has to be on the list then.
It is. Where was Space Mountain? No, Space Mountain's not on the list.
Just for reference, I've got 5 out of the top 10 at this point. This is bad. I mean, like I just don't know what people want. I'm just like, you know, if it's not Aladdin's Magic Carpets, because that would be absolutely bonkers. You know, I'm assuming Splash is not on there right now. No. I've done all the Fantasyland attractions that are not meet and greets. I mean, Small.
Think of the other parks.
Small World is on this. Can't be on this list. People would not rate that high.
No.
You tell me to think of all the other parks. Okay, so Hollywood Studios, I've listed all the Galaxy's Edge ones. I've listed. I don't think Alien Swirling Saucers is going to be in there. No. Is Midway Mania going to be in there?
It is. It's tied for 6th at 4.6.
I don't understand how people tour parks, I guess. I'm a terrible person at getting people to go around.
I guess you got to factor in everything, right? Like Peter Pan is short. It takes a lot of effort to ride. And when you get off, you're like, I'm not rating that super high. You know, like,
well, yeah, but like everybody thinks that's their favorite ride. I still can't get over what I can't get. Like, I'm going to start listing everything at this point. Space Ranger Spin.
Nope.
I didn't think so. Dumbo?
No,
because people get off and be like, okay, I just went around in circles for literally 40 seconds.
It's definitely something that's unique to Disney. It's not something you can do just anywhere. It's a long experience.
Long People Mover?
No.
I think we're boring the people in this podcast. I'm a total failure.
All right,
what is the other second tier one?
Kilimanjaro Safaris. That was the other last one that was 4.7.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking more of rides. I was thinking that more of an experience rather than an attraction. All right, so I've got 3 other ones on here. Just give them off to me. I failed at this experiment.
So the next 3 that are tied for 6 is Big Thunder Mountain.
I was going to start.
That's also at 4.6. Soarin' Around the World is also 4.6.
Really?
And then this one you probably wouldn't get because you'd have to be thinking beyond. It's Festival of the Lion King. Also had a 4.6.
See, I would never guess that because I was thinking rides and attractions and not like shows.
And just so you know, the next 2 that the last 2 that had a 4.5 was Rock and Roller Coaster and Feathered Friends in Flight.
Ooh.
I don't think you ever would have guessed that.
No, not at all. So, okay, so I can see why Flight of Passage is number 1 because that's a unique experience, 3D experience, everything else like that. There's nothing else on property that's anywhere near that. Rise, Guardians, Expedition Everest, and Safari. 3 of those are relatively, or two of those are relatively very new with Rising
Mhm.
Guardians, both unique kind of roller coasters. Expedition Everest is just a good coaster, right? Like there's nothing special about it other than you go backwards. The theming's kind of good, but I think people love just the ride itself. It's
Yeah,
fun.
and nowadays too, it's like generally never more than a 15-20 minute wait. Like it's a good return for your investment.
True.
I think.
True. Safari, I just didn't. Yes, because that's one of the best. That's one of the most fun things to do on property. I just never thought of it as a ride or attraction.
Yeah.
My mindset was off. That's my fault. Tower of Midway Mania being up there is surprising to me. I mean, like,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know
like,
if it's just again the lines aren't too long and it's something everybody can do and you can rewrite. It's got good rewritability and stuff like that. I'm surprised it's like in sixth place, top 10. I'm not surprised it has a high score, but I don't know.
if you take out Festival of the Lion King, what is the next one after that? Take out
The-
away the shows.
So take that out. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rides would be tied for the next spot, which is Tron, Slinky Dog Dash, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and Rock and Roller Coaster.
Okay, that makes sense to me at that point. I'm kind of surprised Soarin' is up there, just because it's an old attraction. I mean, all my kids love it, but like it doesn't seem like there's ever a long line for it.
Yep.
But maybe that's the reason why, because they waited 30 minutes to get on it. It's a relatively fun experience. It's unique. Big Thunder Mountain, I definitely see why that's on there. But again, Midway Mania is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, it is just a fun, genuinely fun experience. The queue is really cool. We probably don't usually have to wait that long to get on there. So maybe
It also feels like one of those rides you talk about a lot after, right? Everyone's comparing scores and you want to do again and like, I'll beat you this time and stuff. I don't know. I can kind of see why it does pretty well. And then just, the next grouping after that, that's when you get into the Pirates, Haunted Mansion, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, also Mickey's PhilharMagic, Journey of Water is a 4.4. Test Track is there. So People Mover is the next group. It's in 4.3. That's tied with like Smuggler's Run and stuff.
Interesting.
And Space Mountain's down at a 4.2.
Because everybody breaks their back on it. That's why it's a little
and not everybody can ride it and stuff like that. But
true. But not everybody can ride Tron.
yeah, that's true. But, I mean, that's why it's probably outside the top 10 still, even despite being really new and really good. But it does kind of show you, though. I mean, most of the rides in the top 10 are more thrilling. Yeah. So it does kind of show you like why are they building more roller coasters? It's like, well,
people really love them.
Seem like what they want.
Yep. Or it's like Rise of the Resistance type of stuff, right?
It's got to be just something so spectacular like the Safaris, which is just so unique and so big, but you can't just do a little, people aren't going to come for like just a regular dark ride or something.
Well, here's the thing. There's no boat rides on any of these, yet Disney's about to make 5 new boat rides across property.
Not until you get to Pirates. I think that's the first one.
All right, let's move on to our DBC engagement from last week. We asked the audience, what kind of Disney World content do you consume on a daily basis? What do you want more of? Let's go over what the trends in the community, and I know you're going to pick out a couple of these things when we talk, but I was looking for trends. What are people watching? Like, where's the needle moving? And again, everybody on Discord that we talk to on a daily basis, these are all old veterans of the parks and have been paying attention to online content for at least 10 years or so. So these aren't like new people just finding a content creator that's been doing this for a decade for the first time, right? So everybody's kind of experienced with who's out there. So people, some of the things that people are not consuming anymore are message boards due to toxicity and just gets weighted down. You not so recently stopped going to WD Magic forums because there's just a lot of Debbie Downers and complainers and whiners and nitpickers, and sometimes it's just not a fun experience. Less conventional, not as many conventional vloggers. These are the guys that just kind of go to the parks every single day and just kind of do things like All Ears or any number of other guys. I can't remember all their names. I'm not going to name them out. But like people that just go to the parks and they just run out of ideas. So they make up silly things to do just to create content, get clicks type of thing. A lot of people are avoiding negative content. I mean, a lot of people seeing their content numbers go down all of a sudden start making these like clickbaity type of titles. They're avoiding those. I kind of put Mickey views in there. I kind of get frustrated sometimes when people quote his work because it's just like he's a clickbaity person. He used to be a guy that just was genuinely excited about Disney putting out content, and more now it's took an ugly turn in my opinion. Anyway, what people are watching So this is content that if you're not watching, you should probably go pick up some of the people in this area. And Phil, maybe you could kind of fill in with what people are watching and who they are watching on this. And I saw two basic things that people want or are currently watching, and they're streamers. People are just going to the parks, hanging out, right? They don't have an agenda. They don't have this whole type of thing other than I'm going to EPCOT today and we're going to walk around the world's pavilion. That's their plan. And they're going to take it where it goes. Resort TV 1, I think, is like the biggest one out there right now with what they do. And one of the things that is not prevalent on YouTube, and I want to talk about this a little bit later as we end the show, but watching families, not specifically like 20-somethings or people without kids or anything else, like go to the parks that are local. Like no Floridians that are going to the park for the 5th time this week because we have a YouTube channel. But people that are prepping for a trip or anything else. And I've been saying non-locals on podcasts. That's why we do it, right? Because we thought there was not a lot of people talking about going to the parks that don't have the ability to go.
That have to do the planning, that have to do the layout, and have to kind of find the time. Yeah.
So what have you seen as far as some other things that people are watching or excited to listen to?
So names of places that people recommended or that they use a lot, and I think we'll be kind of tagging places out on social media and stuff so you can find them. But for news and rumors, obviously beyond our podcast, people like the DSNY newscast. Some people do like Mickey Views, which I do think when he does some good videos, his good videos are very good, but other ones can be a little clickbaity. And the Disney Dish podcast, people enjoy getting information from there. Things that are more around planning or just for entertainment. I mentioned Matt's podcast, Happily Everything Disney, but also the Be Our Guest and Disney World is Awesome podcast. They, especially if you like trip reports, those two do a lot of those.
Comment on a Be Our Guest. I believe the guy that runs it, his name is Mike, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He has got an excellent voice for a podcast. I give him a lot of credit. Very well produced. They have their content stream, but they put out a lot of content. So there might be a day where you get a show that you're not particularly interested in the subject. Make sure you tune in tomorrow because it's going to be completely different with something else. And they do a very good job of keeping people like updated. I listen to it from time to time.
Yep. For more kind of entertainment stuff, people going to the parks, people like Mammoth Club, Ordinary Adventures, some people like Paging Mr. Morrow, Tim Tracker. Then you mentioned about Resort One TV. And then I also like Offhand Disney. I think he does a fun job. He's also another one who's a non-local, so he kind of has to plan trips and stuff like that. So I enjoy that.
Tim Tracker, Tom Morrow, and all those guys, I clump them into normal vloggers, whatever you want to call it. These are guys that go to the parks and they're not excited to be there. It's their job. You know, it's their job. And to me, that's the stuff.
Yeah. Some people, I mean, we definitely got, some people are tired of that and some people still enjoy it and stuff like that. It's still kind of like their comfort video or whatever for bringing them into the park.
Again, but nothing wrong these guys do a good job for what they plan on doing. I mean, they're not bad at making content. It's just some people are tired of that type of content.
Yep. And the last group I mentioned, these are ones that I personally watch a lot because whether I have a trip or not, I always enjoy dining reviews and seeing things because dining is such a big part of our trip. Disney Food Blog does a ton, especially they do like top 10 lists and stuff like that.
Yep.
Other people that do reviews, Princess and the Bear, I think do a really fun job. They also, one of them is vegan. So if you're in, that impacts you, they're a good source for that. And two newer ones that I've been enjoying. Maybe it's because I think they're newer and so they're still like excited to be doing this.
You actually like going to the park.
Yeah, is Addicted to the Mouse and Theme Park Foodies. Theme Park Foodies is kind of a younger couple. Addicted to the Mouse, they're not old, but they're maybe our age or whatever. But they also have like a teenage son, and they bring him sometimes on as well, so you get his opinion about things as well. So
the problem is because I'm going to go back to non-local stories, right? And I don't think too many people want the opinion of well, maybe plenty of people do, but like I don't think. For the non-local story, if you're looking for the non-local, so you're looking for families going on vacation to Disney, how do they do it? Right. Yeah. What I don't consider to be part of that group is an out-of-stater, non-local going, and it's like a 26-year-old guy with his 26-year-old girlfriend, and they're going down for like the first time. Actually, that might be interesting, but like going down for like their annual trip. I want to see a family go down there or hear about a family going down there struggling with their stroller. How do they get into the bus? Like going through the trials and tribulations that I go to, and I can kind of have some nostalgia on all those battles and stuff like that, since my kids are out of the age of like strollers and stuff like that at this point. And the issue is you can't find a lot of those stories because two things. The people that are struggling with the strollers and the planning of the kids, whatever, they never have time to make
Right,
vlogs
exactly.
of their trips, right? Like, it's just like, I don't have enough time for all this headache. Second of all, they're probably going down for the first or second time, so they kind of want to enjoy their trip rather than like talking about it type of thing. And third, the people that do have the time to record their family vacations, a lot of them that I've witnessed either are doing it genuinely and they're fun to watch videos, or they're like professional content creators, influencers that are dragging their family along. And those come off a little like, ooh, I don't know if I trust your opinion because you're really hamming it up for the camera type of thing. It comes off as too produced and not too fun. So, but there's not, in any case, there's not a lot of any of that to begin with anyway. So I take what I could get. I've been kicking around an idea that we need to, not we, but I would like to, and if you want to help do this, I think there's a project, and I don't think I could do this because this is going to require a lot of planning, but maybe somebody could hear this and kind of do it because this is what I would like. I would like a show or a podcast or video. I don't know what form it takes, but you find 5 to 10 families in various stages of planning. And then you just keep adding more families that are going as more families come back and do trip reports. So every show you get an update of family that's now 6 months out. And you get an update from a family that's 3 weeks out. Next week you're getting a trip report. And you kind of just, I don't know if you have 5 to 10 families as you're kind of churning through all this content, if you just lose track of each family and it's just like, it's not entertaining. But like somebody would have to produce a show. Like I'm thinking like a reality type of show where you've got like a camera in somebody's life for snippets at a time. And I don't know if that's people would be interested or not, but I would like to see somebody try kind of like your classic Netflix, Hallmark Channel, whatever reality show where you're following families along as they go on vacation somewhere, and you follow their ups and their downs. They come together at the end and they love it, and you just kind of constantly watch families go through. I think that would be interesting. I just don't know if it would be beneficial to the audience. I don't know how I would produce it.
Yeah,
would that be something you would watch, or is that too much?
I think it would be interesting depending on the format. I mean, I think if you had like a series of show, and you had like I don't know if it's 15 families, but even if it's like 4 families or something like that, and you're kind of tracking, one week it's the planning, and then it's the, as it's getting closer and then actually executing the trip or whatever. I think it'd be interesting. I just don't know like who would put it together. It almost seems like it'd be cool if Disney Plus did it.
Yes.
The only problem with that is it would obviously have a very positive twist to it. You wouldn't really go through like the downs as much, and you wouldn't have people complaining about how expensive things are and stuff like that. But it would be, I mean, even if they just did it with on the positive side, it'd be something smart for Disney Plus to do it, right? Like people would watch that and they'd be like, oh, look at this family, they've never gone before and they're having a blast. Why can't we do that? Like
there's nothing wrong with watching a fully pixie dusted experience of a family going for the first time. I would watch that. I mean, if for me producing it, it would be just like you interview a person for like 20 minutes every 4 weeks leading up to it. And then every week going up to the trip. And then when they get back and they're situated, you kind of do a trip report with them.
Yeah.
And that would be like, you go through the different stages all across. And I don't know if that would be good in like an audio format, because that would be the easiest, right? You have a conversation, you record it, and you put it out there. Maybe you have 5 conversations in a week, each for 10 minutes, and you say, listen on one week, you have a show where it's like family A, B, and C, and A is 6 months out, B is three months out, and C is going next week, right? They're in the final, like. Would that be a good show, or would that be too jumbled? Like, you wouldn't be able to follow A, B, and C if there's A through F in various different stages. I don't know if that's just confusing or not. So something that's, kind of throw in the back of my brain, how to kind of do that. And I'd probably have to see if a travel agency would want to sponsor that type of show just so we can get people booking trips. It's like, hey, by the way, do you want to be on a podcast for like $50 Disney gift card at the end of it? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Anyway,
I think that's the thing too. It's like we could do it with like if we had a family friend or something and wanted to update us every week or every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think to do like full blown, it would have to be like somebody who has a lot of reach and could like is making money off it and could help out and stuff like it'd be tough for us to do it like full blown, I think.
Oh no. I think you need somebody that's kind of doing this. Like you need a travel agent. Like you need like Be Our Guest to do it, right? Because they're a travel agency and a podcast. Like you need access to that.
Yeah.
Or we would need friends that can funnel us, families that are gung ho about doing it. Not just
so
like,
if anybody
I don't
who's
feel
like
like doing it.
Anybody who's listening who's a travel agent and wants to promote this, feel free to reach out.
We have an idea. Anyway, I thought we were going to end early, but we're about to ding 1 hour into the show. So good for us, Phil. We're just on time. Next week's DVC engagement question this is a question for out-of-staters, right? People that actually have to plan to go to Disney World. They can't just kind of get up and just go that afternoon type of thing. What is the shortest time you've decided to go on a Disney World vacation? It could be at any length, and go, right? So like a lot of people book 6 months out, 8 months out, 1 year out. But what is that? How much time out is it? Have you ever planned a vacation that's 1 week out? And has you put like 3 days out? Did you just drop everything and like hop on a plane and go on the same day? I want to hear those stories. Going to Disney World on top of other traveling plans, like you were down in business and
right.
Business
that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. This has to be a Disney World only thing. You weren't visiting family and decided to go to Disney World. You weren't doing a thing and whatever. This is like, hey family, let's go to Disney World next week. Like that would be 7 days out. Because I think everybody knows my 2021 trip was, if you go back, my wife just said, let's take the kids to Disney World this weekend. Well, this weekend's Labor Day. How about the weekend after that? So that was like 2 weeks, right? So that was ours. I could share a little bit more detail on that if you don't remember. So yeah, I want to hear people's stories. What is the fastest turnaround time for booking and going to Disney World? I've been searching for the right term for the duration of planning or between booking and going, I guess is the proper term.
The turnaround time,
yes. All right, Phil, anything else we need to add to the show before we wrap it up?
No, I think we're good.
All
Thanks
right,
for listening, everyone.
Thank you for listening and watching. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and all the other type of stuff. And have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.